In this exciting episode, we learn that the hip, funny comic strip in the LA Chronicle is called Zingy, that the beatnik community in Port Harmony digs pizza and sculpture, and something like the equivalent of Jasper Johns and Charles Schultz just might be the same person. It's Perry Mason, Season 5, Episode 23, The Case of the Absent Artist. Welcome to the Perry Pod. I'm your humble host, Jonathan Searcy. My purpose, pretty simple: provide an audio companion to every episode of television's greatest legal drama, Perry Mason. Each episode, we give you a summary of the plot. We even compare plots with the Earl Stanley Gardner novel, if the episode was an adaptation. We give you a little trivia, reveal the episode's theme, and revel in a Perry proverb. That's a pearl of wisdom from the man himself. Finally, we head to the water cooler, where just like Perry, Della, and Paul, we can discuss the ins and outs of our fave legal cruise adventures. But first, say it with me, to the Law Library! Every time we visit the Law Library, we investigate a legal conundrum from the episode in order to find precedents for future Perry cases. In this visit to the Law Library, we handle the matter of tampering with evidence. We ask, what kind of penalty would Beatnik Alexander get for moving the body of a murder victim?
You're aware that the prosecutor has just used you to impeach his own witness?
I am aware of the truth of what I say.
Do you know that tampering with evidence is a felony?
These are words for lawyers.
The answer: this would qualify as destroying or concealing evidence, which is a violation of California Penal Code 135 and constitutes a misdemeanor. The penalties for a conviction of said crime would be up to 6 months in county jail, a maximum fine of $1,000, and possible summary probation. So long, Alex. We'll see what kind of sculpture you complete when you're out of the clink. Now, let's get to the full plot of the episode. The Case of the Absent Artist. We open on an empty pier, save for one black turtleneck stranger. Meanwhile, two Mary J. smoking beatniks bicker about commerce and art. Catch the logical contradiction articulated by Alexander here.
Logic? My, you are a cretin. In art, logic is the assassin of intuition. Do I make myself clear, Meyer?
Yeah.
Yep, the good old logic is the devil argument, which Alexander the Beatnik will then use logic to prove. Classic bait and switch. Do as I say, not as I do nonsense. Pot logic defined. The mysterious turtleneck stranger's name? Otto Gevert. Daphne and Fiona speculate about Otto's purpose. Fiona is a real cool cat, Daddy-O. Daphne, well, she's played by Zazu Pitts. Make of that what you will. We hear about Otto's painting Day's Catch and see Otto slipping away with the painting with an address mentioning Gabe Phillips. I should also mention that Fiona says this:
but I'll find him. And when I do, maybe I'll slit open his gullet.
Next thing you know, we're in a studio in L.A. Gabe Phillips has the painting, and his crew is working on Zingy, a cartoon character. I'm sure this art wouldn't pass Alexander's logical litmus test. Commerce, blech. Anywho, Gabe wants out. He's looking at Pete Manders as his successor. Make the pitch, Gabe boy.
The bash tonight is my farewell party, kid.
But only $10,000 for Zingy?
I know you'd be a good father to the little stinker. You think you can come up with the loot?
Yeah, sure. I'll get it even if I have to rob a bank.
At the ostensible Gabe Phillips's retirement party, we see some of the Cagneschetti waxing poetic on the power of Otto Gevert's Day's Catch.
No mistaking the technique. In my opinion, he's the next big name in American art.
I don't know. It looks like the work of two guys to me. Rembrandt and Picasso, maybe.
Oh, Monty, must you always be a bookkeeper? Surely you can see the artist is dramatizing the basic need for survival, even in a world slowly melting back into primeval ooze.
Mm-hmm.
Pete comes to the party having obtained the 10K and with his girlfriend in tow. He thinks there are wedding bells in the offing, but before we go too far, why don't we have Perry Mason examine that contract for Zingy? What say you, Perry?
It's okay. I mean, it's a good deal, isn't it?
Apparently, you'll own the strip, all right, but it's going to cost something.
Sure, 10 grand.
No more than that. Pete, I think we ought to find some place to talk.
No, wait.
What for? What's going on? What is all this?
Perhaps Miss Lawrence would rather tell you.
No, I mean, Gabe, where's Gabe?
Tell me what, Leslie?
That I'm going to Mallorca with Gabe Phillips.
Ruh-roh. Pete goes after Gabe, and we get Gabe's life philosophy.
Sorry, Mason. That's the way it goes. Somebody wins, somebody loses.
The zero-sum artist credo, huh? Well, a mysterious phone call from Otto G comes for Gabe. He ducks out. Now, down at the pier, Alexander and Meyer come back doing their frickin' frack routine. Come on, Alexander, pester him some more.
Nice car.
Philistine.
The foreign car.
I repudiate them all.
Gabe enters the domicile de Otto. There's a fight, and we cut to Daphne and Fiona, and then there's this amazing line.
I think I'll go have a pizza.
I don't know why that line cracked me up so much, but I think I might start using it at various times and seeing if I can make it a punchline like, make my day, or follow the money. A shot rings out, and Meyer checks out the nice Gabe Phillips automobile. Another shot rings out, and Alexander doesn't care.
Meyer, I despair of you. A man who covets an automobile has the soul of a hitchhiker.
Didn't you hear that?
I hear only greed. I see only your envy.
But it sounded like a shot.
Blah, blah, blah. Daphne goes back into the Otto G apartment and finds Day's catch hanging on the wall. Weird. Next morning, Perry's got the skinny on the whole Zingy cartoon deal and wants to talk with Pete. Then Pete and Perry make a discovery down in the carport. Gabe done got. Paul shares the news with Miss Lawrence. Then Paul and Perry head out to Port Harmony. They talk with Daphne and Fiona and investigate the Otto G apartment. Then, when they get a chance to take Fiona to Lieutenant Andy Anderson, the bombshell drops.
You're positive?
I ought to know. I was his girl.
You were Phillips' girl, too?
No, Otto Gervertz.
But this man is Gabe Phillips.
Maybe that's what he called himself in Hollywood. Up in Port Harmony, he was known as Otto Gavert.
Say what? Gabe was Otto? Phillips was Gavert? Wowza! Lay out the case against Pete and A.
Perry, I'd say this changes nothing. Oh, but you're right about it being someone who was up in Port Harmony. I thought we had plenty of evidence against your client before, but now... Here, take a look at this. Gasoline receipt from a service station in Port Harmony, dated yesterday. The attendant says signed late last night.
Pete Manders.
In court, Fiona takes the stand. Tell us who you are, Fiona.
And you had a very close friendship with him.
I was his girl.
Great. That may go down as the episode's most repeated line. Fiona testifies that Otto/Gabe left the apartment that night staggering like he was drunk. Perry calls her on perhaps threatening Otto's life. And the fact that Fiona did threaten Otto's life and did not, in fact, kill him contradicts the claim I made last week about saying out loud that you wanted to kill someone and then inevitably getting arrested for the murder. Fiona doesn't get arrested. Neither did she commit the crime. She's just making threats and planning when she can have her next pizza pie. Next up is Detective Buck. Perry wants the court to recognize a fine distinction.
I now show you a revolver which has been identified as the weapon which killed Gabe Phillips.
Objection. Your Honor, the murdered man's name was Otto Gavert.
Chuck Montrose, take the stand. Perry wants to know about taxes.
Mr. Montrose, were you aware that your client was actually Otto Gavert, a painter living in Port Harmony?
No, sir. You could have knocked me over when I read about it in the paper.
You had no intimation of it from his financial affairs?
That's right. Nobody knew about it.
But you prepared Gavert's tax forms in Hollywood.
Then the prosecutor, a Port Harmony Hamilton Burger knockoff, makes this quip when Perry starts hammering the name thing again.
A corpse by any name is just as dead.
I don't think we need any levity, Mr. Clark.
Barbara Lawrence says she and Gabe were a thing and that Pete threatened Gabe. Then it's the gas station attendant's job to implicate Pete. Daphne Willem testifies that she found Otto dead in the Gabe mobile. Perry asks a crucial follow-up question.
Was his car still in the street when you ran outside for help?
Yes, he was in his car, but nothing could have been done for him. He was already dead.
Now, Miss Willem, will you please explain to this court how a dead man drove his car all the way to Hollywood? 120 miles away?
Perry, Paul, and Della gab about why someone wanted the corpse of Otto G. back at the Gabe Phillips joint.
Somebody in Port Harmony wanted the corpse to be Phillips, not Gavert.
Then the murderer must be somebody here in Port Harmony.
No, not necessarily. One of Philip's Hollywood friends could have faked that phone call to lure him up here. Then, if he'd been murdered as Gavert, there'd be nothing to connect him with the Hollywood crowd.
When Daphne confesses she was responsible for moving the body but not actually driving the car, Alexander the Beatnik shows up to confess to the felonious deed, admitting he's a sculptor and getting caught in the crosshairs of that assassin logic.
Mr. Glavatsky, why were you willing to transport a dead body?
Because Gavert had betrayed his talent. He sold his birthright to the money changers. I eradicated his presence from the Temple of the Arts.
Now the DA proves how much money was involved with Zingy. Answer? Enough to give Pete a craven, non-beatnik motive for murder. Montrose comes back to the stand to show who Gabe was giving money to in order to avoid bigger tax payouts. Alexander Jacques.
$500. Just 500 paltry dollars.
For what, Mr. Glavatsky?
Like the man said, this Phillips hired artists.
But you're a sculptor, not a cartoonist.
Well, there is a difference, I grant that. But only that.
But Alexander also implicates the tax man. Yeah, he's the tax man. Tax fraud, murder, Montrose. Tell us what you did.
Oh, yes, you're right. I killed the two-headed monster.
Pete talks about coming back to Port Harmony, and Paul shoots that idea down but quick.
Hey, you know something? I might be coming back to Port Harmony someday.
Pete, old sport, haven't you had trouble enough? Just leave art to the expert.
Now, let's get trivial, shall we? Each episode in our trivia section, I give you 3 takeaways. A poll is a subject worth investigating more. Adela is a deep dive on an actor or actress who guest starred in the episode. And finally, a Perry is something we learn about our intrepid hero. In the episode, we find out this interesting fact about what the comic Zingy is actually worth.
But I can't help wondering why you'd sell a valuable property for what, a tenth of its value?
I didn't think he could afford more than $10,000.
So here's my question, Pauls. What were the most popular comic strips in 1962? And how much do you think Family Circus, or Dennis the Menace, or Peanuts, or any of the other popular 1962 comic strips would have sold for? Tell us what you find, Pauls! Our Della for this episode is Zazu Pitts, the indomitable Daphne Willem.
Do hurry, dear. Otto's back.
Here's 10 about Zazu. 1. Born January 3rd, 1894, Parsons, Kansas, third of 4 children, to Rolandus and Nellie Pitts. Number 2. Relocated in 1903 to Santa Cruz, Cali. Number 3, attended Santa Cruz High, where she participated in school theatricals and graduated in 1914. Number 4, made her stage debut the next year, overcoming her shyness to join the school's drama department. Number 5, discovered by screenwriter Frances Marion around 1917, who helped her land small film roles. Her first feature-length lead was in King Vidor's Better Times in 1919. Number 6, major breakthrough came with the lead role in Erich von Stroheim's epic silent film Greed, 1924, which is widely considered the artistic high point of her career. Number 7, started in dramatic roles, but became best known for her comedic performances, especially after being typecast. Following her removal from the 1930 film All Quiet on the Western Front, due to audiences finding her unintentionally funny. Number 8, had a prolific career both in film and TV, appeared in over 500 movies. Notable later roles included the films Life with Father, Frances, and her final films, The Thrill of It All and It's a Mad, 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 Mad World, both released after her death. Number 9, married actor Thomas Sarsfield Gallery in 1920, divorced in 1933. She had a daughter with him, Zezu Ann Gallery, and adopted a son, Donald Michael Sonny Gallery. Then, in 1933, she married John Edward Woodall and remained with him until her death. Number 10, died of cancer June 7th, 1963, the year after this episode aired, in L.A. at age 69, interred at Holy Cross Cemetery in Culver City. Our Perry for this episode involves our man's job as a resident contract expert.
Simply says, like raising $10,000 in one afternoon. Had to parlay so many deals only a lawyer could understand them. So I got me one. Now where do I sign?
Pete, you ought to have a drink to settle you down. We'll call you when it's time.
Who needs to settle down? I'm calm. Just whistle, wicked old slave master.
What do you want, Mason? Some whereases and 2 wits?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Perry's a good friend to have. Love that Della got to hang at the party, too. Our theme for the case of the absent artist is identity. Here's what worries our man Pete.
You know something, Gabe? We're losing our identities. We're all turning into little zingies.
Might be an improvement.
Quick, make a note of that one, men.
Look at poor Otto Gevert / Gabe Phillips. His art led to a double life. He couldn't reconcile his 2 identities. So what's an artist to do? Eat a pizza?
I think I'll go have a pizza.
The reality is you need to know who you are before you make great art. Don't try to be something you're not. And that goes for you too, Pete. Now it's time for a Perry proverb. Don't let anyone say that Perry's a pacifist. He doesn't make the rules. He just quotes them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Perry, but I think you could have stopped Pete from throwing that first punch.
As the man said, he was entitled to one.
Perry fought in the Navy, of course. He knows that sometimes you gotta let a man get his sock in. Now, let's grab a swig from the water cooler.
There is one thing I don't understand.
Go on, Paul.
Each episode in the water cooler, we give you deleted scenes, bits from the episode that didn't make the final cut. Number 1, we have to sit around while laugh at his own jokes. Wiseacre Pete pitches idea after idea for Zingy cartoons. In this one, Zingy gets a haircut, and that's when things get really wacky. Number 2, we join Paul and Fiona on a date for a, you guessed it, lasagna! See what I did there? Paul starts quoting poetry. I saw the best minds of my generation destroyed by mozzarella, starving, hysterical Zingy. Number 3, Alexander and Aaron Hubble from The Case of the Purple Woman have a 2-man show at Sing Sing. Sculpture and painting, the uncompromising beatnik and the forging iconoclast. Come on, you two, it's art! Our Paul prompt from last time concerned the fictional town of Derrick City, which I assume is named after an oil derrick. This mysterious oil town was located in LA County, but isn't anywhere on a Cali map I can find. We asked what was the most likely town it was based on, and what kind of house in that city would have been worth the $100,000 price tag that the domicile de Keith Ney Jameson would have drawn. Both Dad Drake and Aunt Mai P.I. were on the case. Dad Drake said that Sierra Madre was a likely candidate. Population 10,020, self-contained, had its own police department, frequently used as a filming location due to its classic small-town feel. A 100K house in Sierra Madre would have had 4,000 to 6,000 square feet and 4 to 6 bedrooms with multiple bathrooms. Pretty nice. Aunt Mai P.I. put her vote in for a ghost town called Mentryville. From the Wikipedia article she sent along, we read, quote, Mentryville was an oil drilling town in the Santa Susana Mountains in LA County, California. It was started by Charles Alexander Mentry in the 1870s around the newly discovered oil reserves. The first oil strike was in 1876. However, by 1962, Mentryville had become a ghost town with only a caretaker family living in Mentryville's old 13-room house. A visitor to the camp that year reported that, quote, rusted oil equipment cluttered the canyon, toppled derricks lay rotting, and the cemetery was choked with weeds, hidden and forgotten. Close quote. Fun! Thanks, Pauls! Well, it's hard to believe, but we only have 2 more episodes left in Season 5, and our next one involves, wait for it, guns! Wait a minute, firearms in a Perry episode? Say it ain't so! It's the case of the melancholy marksman. Join us, won't you? Until then, this is Jonathan Searcy saying, keep on walking! The Park Avenue beat!